So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Justin Trudeau entering the chat when it comes to the Northern Ireland Protocol and kind of the Good Friday Agreement. So this is something I didn't actually know, that the Canadians were involved in the creation of the Good Friday Agreement. Probably not as big as the American intervention, but I didn't actually know the Canadians were involved at all. So probably one to mention in the history books, I guess. But yeah, so Trudeau has entered the chat basically, or had entered the chat. So if Boris Johnson thought he was hoping to move on from questions about the Northern Ireland Protocol at the G7, things did not go his way. The UK's Prime Minister breathed a sigh of relief on Thursday that Brexit didn't scupper talks between face-to-face talks between Joe Biden and Boris Johnson, which apparently went well, and both sides agreed of the importance of the Northern Ireland Protocol. Yet the UK continues to threaten the Northern Ireland Protocol through taking unilateral action. But we'll save that one for a separate thing. So Canadian leader Justin Trudeau, handsome man he is, has entered the fray, or entered the chat as I would say, has signalled to Johnson in their bilateral meetings on Friday that that we are very aware of the issue. Ralph Goodale, Canadian High Commissioner to the UK, told reporters. So this is Canadian signalling intent here, not to mention the fact that I think we still have to sign a deal with the Canadians. That the CETA deal did roll over to the UK, but I think that's only temporary. So if the UK starts messing around here, maybe the Canadians could do something with regards to the CETA deal, sort of the rollover CETA deal that we're going to have to agree to with Canada. I suppose it'll be the CA-UK, right, or something like that. But the Good Friday Agreement is obviously important from Canada's point of view. Goodell added, "We know how complex those border issues are with respect to Ireland and Northern Ireland. If you are Canadian, is this something they talk about with you guys in schools or whatever? Do you cover Irish history? Because if you do, then that's interesting, because in Britain we don't really cover a lot of Irish history. The only thing we've really spoken about is black and tans and things like that, and Queen Elizabeth's kind of colonisation of Ireland. We don't really talk about too much. So if Canadians cover it far more in the school system than the British, that's pretty interesting." He says, "We don't underestimate the difficulty of finding a satisfactory resolution. Simply to signal we're aware of it." And they're saying that, look, we know that there's a lot of issues going on here. We're not saying things are easy. But we do want you guys to come to some sort of understanding, talking about, I think, the UK and the EU, that you guys need to really figure this out here. But obviously more pressure is on the UK, because at the end of the day, we're the ones causing the problems, and we're also the ones that need deals from these countries, because otherwise what's the point of Brexit? I suppose the EU already had a deal with Canada, so I guess Brexit really doesn't help us in this regard at all. So Canada is also willing to help find a solution, Goodell said, pointing to his country's involvement in the implementation of the Northern Ireland's 1998 peace accord. So again, I had no knowledge about this before I read this article. It's very interesting. But he stressed Canada understands that this is ultimately one for the UK to resolve. But the thing is, this is quite interesting, this statement here, because he's not saying that this is up to the UK and the EU to resolve. He's saying this is up to the UK to resolve, saying that the onus is on the UK and that the UK has to figure this out because we're the ones causing the problems here. At least that's my interpretation of what he said. I could be wrong, but it looks like Goodell is blaming the UK for the issues. A number 10 spokesperson said the Prime Minister Trudeau agreed on the importance of upholding the Good Friday Agreement. So here's the spin here. What they do is they take a statement like this, right, and they say, look, both sides agree to the importance of the Good Friday Agreement. No one's going to say, apart from maybe some headbangers in the DUP, right, that the Good Friday Agreement is important. But they won't tell you the rest of it, which is, I'm guessing that Trudeau does put a lot of importance on the Northern Ireland Protocol, just like Joe Biden did. So you can easily say, oh, both sides agree on this one specific thing, which, if the British Prime Minister said that, oh, I'm against the Good Friday Agreement, then all hell would probably break loose on the international stage, given how difficult it was just to get the Good Friday Agreement in the first place. So obviously they're both going to agree on it, but it's how do you maintain peace in Ireland? That's the problem. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Canadians were the ones to say, look, you have an agreement, stick with it, because this is the only way you're going to get peace in Northern Ireland, whilst the British are saying, oh, it's the implementation that's the problem, and the interpretation, which is not. It's the agreement itself that's the issue. But the thing is, we've signed it now, and because we're out of the single market in the customs union, we have to stick with it. That's the top and bottom of it. The protocol is part of the divorce treaty the UK signed with the EU back in 2019, but Britain is finding its trade terms too restrictive. If that's the case, we shouldn't have signed it then. That's it. We shouldn't have signed it. Northern Ireland is part of the UK territory in sovereign and customs terms, but under the protocol it stays in the EU's single market. So in terms of customs, the Northern Ireland is part of the EU single market when it comes to goods. So in terms of customs, it is part of the EU, not the UK. Hence why there are customs declarations for goods going from GB to NI. At least that's as far as I know of. So I don't know if this is a Politico mistake or my mistake here. So let me know in the comments for that one. Without an agreement covering animals and plant products known as an SPS agreement, there will continue to be checks and limits in place on certain substances entering Northern Ireland from the mainland. So any chilled meats and things like that, those are the things that are going to be restricted, along with a few other things. But it's mainly chilled meats. I think they're the main issue. So there's that. But you can see that the Canadians entering the chat is quite interesting. They talk about here the Prime Minister struggling to come up with a solution because the solution's already there. He's just refusing to implement it. That's the problem. The Canadian intervention comes after the US was reported to send a sharp diplomatic reprimand to the UK about the situation ahead of the summit. So that is this article here, which we'll be breaking down at some point. So just subscribe for that if you want to see that. I'm just trying to get through the G7 kind of articles and fallout as quickly as I can. It's just taking a while. But yeah, they talk about Emmanuel Macron warning about any renegotiations not being serious. He also offered that if the UK do implement the protocol properly, they will offer La Reset, which is kind of a reset on relations, which between the UK and France have been pretty frosty. Let's not forget there was the big fish wars at the start of the year. So Irish Prime Minister Michael Martin said Friday that Britain could still sign a trade deal with the US even with an EU-UK SPS agreement, which that looks like that rhetoric has been also said by the Americans. So most likely the Taoiseach here has spoken to Joe Biden and asked about this and said, look, if the UK signs an SPS agreement, dynamic alignment with the EU, is that going to impact a UK-US trade deal? And it looks like Joe Biden has said no. So that's fine. That means that we can get a trade deal with the Americans and have dynamic alignment with the EU. So that's interesting. SPS alignment is not something SPS agreement is something the UK is keen to avoid because we want to deregulate and stuff like that, and we want hormone beef, etc. in this country, which is a damn shame, to be honest. Johnson at least got some respite from the round Friday's itinerary because the Italian government decided not to mention this. Mario, I'm not going to pronounce his second name. I'm probably going to butcher it. Yeah, Big Super Mario, the Italian Prime Minister. Is that racist? I don't know. But yeah. Anyways, what we can see is the Canadians have put pressure here. So the majority of the G7 leaders and kind of the EU kind of guest out there, von der Leyen, and I think the leader of the European Council, look like they put a lot of pressure on Boris Johnson. And it's interesting that the Canadians got involved in this because you don't hear about Canada being a major kind of geopolitical player, but clearly, this is one they're invested in. But anyways, look, let me know what you think in the comments below. Shouts out Trudeau, even though I know Rational National doesn't like him. At least he's done some decent stuff here. Shouts out Goodale as well. And remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.